Welcome to Moving Forward, sponsored by MPW Mocklink TV and Mocklink Internet, online at mpw.org. Each weekday morning, our local talk segment brings you the people who are helping move our community forward. Let's start the show.
Good morning, AM 860 FM 95.1 KWPC. I'm Jordan Davis. Thanks for joining us this morning here for Moving Forward, as always brought to you by Muscatine Power and Water. Mocklink Internet and TV are the best value in entertainment and connectivity, and getting better with world-class fiber. Subscribe now and you'll get fiber when it comes to your neighborhood. Learn more at mpw.org. Again, I'm Jordan Davis. Thank you very much for joining us here for Moving Forward. In the studio with me this morning from the Muscatine County Conservation Board, Michelle Burns.
Yes.
Hey, this morning, Michelle. How are you?
Good morning. Good.
We're really excited to have you in. It's always a pleasure to get to speak with you because you deal with a lot of the stuff that's right up my alley. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy having you in. Anybody from the Muscatine County Conservation Board, really enjoy speaking with Ryan. Is it Ryan or Ryan?
Ryan.
Ryan.
Yes.
I think I've been mispronouncing. I think I've been saying that a little bit, just adding that little bit of "and" at the end of that.
Yeah.
Since I've been talking to him, I'll have to remember that for the next time that he comes in. Ryan. All right. Yeah, Ryan's a lot of fun to bring in too, just because he has a lot of experience. You know, he's out dealing with folks as they're hunting or doing whatever, dealing with the parks themselves. So
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
all of the new stuff that's happening at
Right.
Deep Lakes. I mean,
Right.
it's just every year is new.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's, on the front lines of that, being the park ranger down there. So
Right in the middle of it, and I'm sure
Right in the middle of it.
I'm sure he's going to be pretty excited when they do finally get those cabins built out there at Deep Lakes, because that'll probably be, well, I say a lot of fun, but getting to see people out and enjoying nature, that'll be the fun.
Yeah,
part of it.
I think the trail system that's gone through Deep Lakes has really brought people in that maybe not hadn't been there before, because kind of when it opened, it was more like, oh, go down there and go fishing,
kind of a secluded fishing spot.
Right. You can go in different places, and the fishing's really still pretty good down there, and we keep stocking, and but now it's kind of a different we're shifting our focus. We brought in the beach a few years back, so now we have more families that are down there,
and the canoe rentals. Well, the
canoe rentals and kayak rentals started last summer, and now we're kind of trying to get all of those groups kind of something for everybody down at Deep Lakes kind of thing, and the bike trails really help that out, even for just walking it. It's a nice little walk to just walk through and back.
I can't remember. Are they paved paths?
It is. Yeah,
excellent.
The paved path. It's the one that connects up with the Kentstein to Deep Lakes.
So when you actually get there, so I'm thinking of where the beach is.
Right.
So if I'm at the beach, where am I going to go for that?
The trail actually starts on the other side.
Okay.
So where that big shed is that's down there right off Stewart Road? That's where the trail head starts.
Okay, I got you.
And then you can it cuts right through the park to the other end of the park, and then you come back. So it's a really good view of all of the different lakes, and I always call it the desert down there because it's all sandy, but it's a good way to kind of get out and see things. And there's a lot of really cool stuff down there. Nature's really reclaimed itself, over the last several decades. It was kind of a waste mined area.
Was it a place that they stripped?
A quarry.
Or was it just a quarry?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
A quarry for sand and gravel and so forth. So pretty much after they stopped using it for that, nature kind of reclaimed it, and there's a lot of stuff down there. We found, some endangered plants and
really?
Some different. Hoping there's some different animals down there that aren't found necessarily in some other places just because of the sandy habitat. So it's a pretty cool place. There have been reports of people have posted on our Facebook of these giant bull snakes. We don't see a lot of bull snakes in a lot of places anymore because they're just they kind of like those big. Natural areas, if you want to call it that. And somebody posted on our Facebook, and I bet you that snake was like 6 feet long. And, I love snakes. You don't like snakes?
It's not that I don't like snakes. It's just I don't like a snake that I can't see all of, like if it's underneath. I'll give you an example. We have a john boat that we take out into our pond. Pretty often, when I flip that john boat over from its resting spot out of our pond, there's a big old snake tail hanging out from underneath the seat. And, I wouldn't have so much problem with it if he just slithered on out. I don't want him hanging out in the boat all the time when I'm getting ready to go out and go fishing.
No mice in that area, though.
No, and it's funny. I saw a snake in one end and a mouse in the other end one time when I picked up the boat, and I thought, you guys can't be living here in harmony.
No,
way.
that one was a full-bellied snake. Yeah. So, it's pretty cool what can happen when we leave nature alone to kind of reclaim itself, and Deep Lakes is a really good example of that.
Is it naturally refilled? It was just over time it refilled it, it refilled where the quarry was? Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Are any of those like connected through like underground stuff, or are they all...
Yeah, actually it is all connected down there. So there's an aquifer that kind of spans. It's a huge aquifer. I don't even know what the name of it is. Somebody probably out there listening does. But it's on the island there, and it's all connected to all of that underground water system.
Okay.
And so a lot of times when the Mississippi River comes up, the lakes will come up too. And at certain times of the year, usually in the fall, things are a little bit lower,
Gotcha.
But as the water comes up with the floods in the spring and so forth, and the water comes up in the natural water line or water table.
And I'm sure there's a lot of like, do you get that kind of color? When I was out there last, I was out at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, so it was real close to sunset, so I didn't have the bright sun right above pointing down on the water, so I didn't get a clear view of what can it be, that kind of bluish color that you get with some of that some of those quarry ponds that are quarry lakes that have been filled up, because isn't there like a natural process that goes through when it travels through all of that?
Yeah, it's pretty clear water anyways, just because of the process of the traveling of the water, and all the sand that's down there, and I've noticed that too with other places that I've seen quarries that fill up. The water just seems so clear, and I know there's probably a scientific process, and I'm going to have to do some research after we get done here. But
is it lime, I want to say
it might be a chemical.
I can't remember.
Yeah, or a mineral that some sort of reaction that causes that. But that's a good question.
Yeah,
I have to figure that out and tell you next time I come in.
Cool, excellent. So what was my other question there for? So that was a naturally filled one then. So was it just suddenly decided one day? Deep Lakes is they filled on up in the last however many years I'm sure it took for that after it was quote unquote abandoned or left. Was it decided? Well, this would be a great spot for a park.
Yeah, so that whole process was quite a lengthy process, and it was hard for us to keep it a secret, too.
Oh, no kidding.
We were very excited about it. The whole area was donated by W.G. Block, and so it was kind of like they thought, oh, yeah, this would be a great natural area. At that point, nature has already started to reclaim things, and so when they told us about it, we had some focus groups and tried to figure out what the public wanted to see down there, came up with a master plan. Definitely the fishing kind of was the thing. Let's do the fishing right away because we can do that without spending a lot of money. Money, everything costs money.
Right.
And a lot of money, too, in the recreational world. But so, the fishing was a very important thing. And so the first thing we tried to do is get the park ship shop opened up, ship shape. What's that word?
I think ship shape. I think that's right.
So we cleaned it up, and we took out, I forget, something like 6 tons of garbage. I mean, because for so many years, people just dumped stuff down there because it was an abandoned place and not, monitored, like, I don't know how that all happens. But so we cleaned it up, and we actually had huge numbers down there for our public cleanup because it was actually before the park was open. So,
cool.
Yeah, so people could come down and get a way to explore this area where they've been, not supposed to be for the last 30 years and help us, clean things up. And, man, we found all kinds of stuff.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I worked a piece of land that had been strip mined like 70 years ago or something like that, and all that was left were just these. When they got done with a spot, they just filled in, and there'd be a big rolling mound. So there was just like half-mile stretches of just these rolled over mounds that were just laid out in rows almost. So it'd be one tall one, then a couple more short ones as it kind of got off to the edges. And we found so much equipment when we were walking through there, just old, ancient equipment that you would not just like old pieces of machinery and big tank things too that they had been filling stuff with, and they just apparently left when when they were done with the project. So I'm sure you guys, was anything like that found, or was it mostly just?
Mostly, there was a lot of styrofoam, like buoys and, different things, dock systems that they used when they were bringing the materials out. So just concrete blocks, huge concrete blocks, which we actually utilized those as kind of parking blocks down there.
Kidding.
Yeah, so we kind of reclaimed some of that stuff, but we found some weird things. I remember we had a couple of scout groups, and they found some giant plastic Easter bunnies. I mean, they were like this tall, and we thought, how'd those Easter bunnies get down here? I mean, there was like a pink one and a blue one or something. We'd have to go back on our Facebook page and look at some of that stuff.
Funny.
But it was just weird stuff that that people just dump down there, that instead of going to the transfer station, they just thought, well, I don't want to pay the transfer station fee, and I'm just going to go dump it. And like people dump stuff in ditches and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that
I lived in the country for 20 plus years. I know what you mean. They just it's crazy. People will just throw stuff right out the window on their way by, and then it's left in somebody's yard or the ditch, or it ends up in somebody's pond, that kind of stuff. So
I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2013 when we officially opened in the spring there. So I think it's been about 5 years. And we started with the fishing, and then we put in the beach a few years ago, and then we've got the trail, and now the cabins are coming. We also have a more modern restroom. So it's still like a pit-style toilet, but it's we call them newer, fancier ones. It's not like, I don't know if you've been out to Salisbury, some of the older generation of pit-style toilets. They're actually pretty fancy, and they don't smell quite as bad, and they're a little bit easier to get around in, and so we got that installed. So right up by the beach. So I think they're waiting for it to kind of settle a little bit. They brought the whole thing in and used a crane and put it in the ground after they dug out the pit, and then they'll put concrete around it so it's accessible, sidewalk type thing. And we think we're going to be adding a few more of those. There's definitely some talk of putting some public beach type huts, like shelter type things, not like the big giant shelters like Discovery Park, but like we've looked at some different ones where there's like a picnic table like this size, and you have the umbrella, or it's not quite an umbrella, but something a little bit more stable.
I know what you mean.
Just for shade, because it gets warm down there on the beach. And
I don't doubt it, yeah.
We have that giant cottonwood tree that's really a good shade structure, but kind of close down by the beach, put some other things up. And so there's just so much stuff going on down there. And actually, we're going to be starting a project. I don't know what Ryan talked about when he was here last time.
I can't remember. I think we just talked about
Deep Lakes, I think, and over where the old county home used to be, we're going to be putting in a modern restroom facility and also a shelter. And we also have some grants in for some playground equipment.
Oh, excellent.
So that's gonna add, is it 5 or 10 acres to Discovery Park? That would be up to about 100 acres or so.
No kidding.
I think. And so we're really excited about that because, we have, it's just a beautiful area there at Discovery Park. It really is. I always call that park our urban oasis, because we're right inside, right inside the city. Although you can walk on a trail that's a little bit more primitive, or walking down in the woods and so forth. So. But speaking of Discovery Park, we are going to be doing a trout release, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 27th. And this is our trout release that we do every fall, where we do the tagged trout release. So if you catch a tagged trout between the hours of 10 and before 4, you can turn it into the Nature Center and get a prize.
Really?
Yeah. So the DNR is releasing, I think it's about 1,000 trout normally is what they release. And then they tag about 100 of those. So your odds are pretty good at catching something.
That's awesome.
10%.
I've never caught. That's one. So the only things that I've really ever spent any time, I went fishing outside of my pond in the Mississippi. Only one time in my life we went out to South Carolina and I went ocean.
Oh,
fishing
sure.
in the ocean. That was a lot of fun. I was Although I was on a boat with about 75 other people, and we were all just shoulder to shoulder on a railing trying to catch fish.
And not trying to hook somebody else.
Well, that was the thing. They said don't cast. You just dropped. You just dropped it right down. There was literally no room to cast or anything like that. But I ended up catching a whole bunch of fish. That was a lot of fun. But the only thing that I've really ever caught, bass and catfish and bluegill, crappie, sunfish. So seeing something, to me, trout is exotic. That's something that I've never even seen before in person. So that's definitely something I want to get out and go fishing for.
Yeah, well, and one of the reasons that the Iowa DNR has kind of started doing these urban trout stockings, is so that people get a chance to trout fish. Because, I mean, if you say I'm going trout fishing, most of the time people assume you're going up to like northwestern Iowa, and it's out of the cold stream areas, where the trout naturally live. But this urban stocking program has been really good to get other people interested in another type of fishing, because it is a different type of a fishing program. It's not like you just cast out and you catch, although sometimes you're lucky with the trout. But you got to think about what you're putting on the line, and people tell me different things. Sometimes they say the little colored marshmallows, like the pink and the orange, and those are really good for the trout.
Really?
Some people swear by like kernel corn, just like canned.
Really?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
And then some people are like, no, you got to use this certain type of fly fishing lure, or so it's really.
Are there places can you wade into Discovery Park? Is that the kind of thing, or is it?
It's just on the edge.
It's just bank fishing. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But people use.
Because when I hear fly fishing, I think standing in the creek or something like that.
Yeah. Well, they still use their
Really?
fly
They're
fishing.
out there doing that? Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Just on the bank, just kind of going like this.
Hopefully, I can get out there and I can actually see somebody doing it, because that's something that's well above my mind. I can cast out and reel back in. I don't know about all this. That goes
I mean, I don't know how it works either. I've never tried to do it, but there are people that catch trout just on regular fishing poles too. I mean,
awesome.
that we have people out there, with our programs, and we're trying to catch, your game, your panfish, I guess if you want to call it that, or the bass, and you got a trout. Whoa, we weren't even trying to catch you, So that's a really cool experience, too, for some of our folks that come out and do education programs with us. But you do need a trout stamp.
Oh, okay.
And I think...
So even if you're not going, if you're going to go fishing there, you need to have one regardless, because if you accidentally catch one, you're...
Well, that's the better thing to do. If you're going to go fishing there, to just get one. I think it's only like $12, something like that.
Gotcha.
But then your fishing license, if you're under 16.
It's a stamp, so is that like
it's a stamp.
Is that like the duck stamp that you get for duck hunting? Is it it's like you peel off, you put it on your fishing license?
I don't know how that works, but it is a stamp.
Okay.
You're right, it's a trout stamp. So I don't know if it's an actual stamp or like
or something
a
like
piece
it.
of paper.
Gotcha. Because
I
know the federal duck stamp is an actual peel and stick. Yeah, there's a spot on your duck tags where you actually have to put that on, or your migratory bird and small game tag. You actually have to put it on there and sign across and that kind of stuff. So I'll have to look into that, because I definitely I want to get out there and try for some trout. Maybe I'll bring one of my cousins over. They just went fly fishing up in Minnesota, I think. They were up far north somewhere, and they or maybe it was Montana. She's gonna yell at me later, because she told me 3 or 4 times that it was Minnesota or Montana, and every time that we talked about it, I said the wrong one. So
yeah, well, it's probably both places where you could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I'll maybe I'll bring them over and we'll give that a try, since they've got a little bit of experience under their belt. So
yeah, well, and the fun thing is, even if you're not gonna fish, it's kind of fun to watch them release 1,000 fish into a pond, because we are usually doing it by buckets, giant buckets. With the guys, the Iowa DNR fisheries guys, they scoop them out into the buckets, and we haul them around to different spots in the pond. Not that we just let everything go,
just open
in
up
one
a big
spot.
back of a truck and just let them pour out.
No, because there are people all around. I mean, it's a pretty popular thing, because they catch a lot of them, and people like to eat trout too.
Oh yeah.
So. It's pretty cool.
That's really exciting. So that's not this Saturday. That's next Saturday.
Yes, the 27th at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So even if you don't want to eat the fish or catch the fish, come and watch the fish being released.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of fish.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. We have talked for a really long time. I had no idea just how fast things were rolling by.
Man.
So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about while we've got a few minutes here?
Oh, I could talk all day.
Well, I don't doubt that, but I know you guys wrapping up programs. Let's touch on that super fast. So wrapping up programs, had a lot of success, a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of kids involved too.
Yeah, we just finished up our Halloween hike, and that's one of our major programs that we do every year, and that's always really fun. Everybody gets to go around the jack-o'-lantern lit trail and watch skits, animals that are dressed up on as an animal. Or in costume, I should say. But hopefully I'll be able to get some of those put on our Facebook page here soon. I've been having a little bit of problem getting them off my phone because the files are so big. I'm trying to email them.
Gotcha, yeah.
So
it can be a nightmare with that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking, is it going to be easier to just put them on my computer and put them on a zip drive and then transfer them that way? But, it's just like...
It's a whole process, and you'd think it'd be simple. You'd think it'd be easy. But, well, that's really cool. So, well, thanks so much for coming in today, Michelle.
Yeah, thank
really
you.
Appreciate it. Yep, Michelle Burns joining us from the Muscatine County Conservation Board, talking a little bit. We talked about Deep Lakes Park. We talked about Discovery Park. They're going to be doing their trout release coming up, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. And be sure to get out there and enjoy that, even if you're not going to be fishing, because it's probably a pretty cool thing to watch, too.
It is.
So, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. And this is Moving Forward, brought to you by Muscatine Power and Water. Say hello to Mockling Phone, your new local phone company. Fiber customers get it now. Switching is easy, and you can keep your old number. Learn more at mpw.org. Again, I'm Jordan Davis. This is this is Moving Forward here on thevoicemuscatine.com.
This has been Moving Forward on KWPC AM 860 FM 95.1, the voice of Muscatine. Moving Forward is brought to you by MPW Digital TV and Mocklink Internet, a designated Blue Zones worksite. Browse to mpw.org. And remember, Moving Forward, local guests making good things happen in the community. Weekdays at 8:15.
With the big